Good evening. I'm Charles Payne. Tonight on Making Money, the markets continue to soar. I'm going to teach you a new word tonight, parabolic. By the way, ignore all the other noise and focus on these bonuses, these tax cuts, and this economy. I'll explain it all because it's only picking up steam. Also later tonight in the show, we are joined by Mike Rowe in a Fox Business exclusive interview. But first, we start with immigration. Talks on Capitol Hill continue to heat up. And what looked to be like a breakthrough day for DACA ended up being in limbo yesterday. This, of course, after President Trump said the tentative deal that was presented to him by that bipartisan Senate group, in his words, was a big step backwards. The president demanding better funding for the wall, and he's insisting on an end to chain migration. Here with me now to discuss my panel, Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch, National Review contributing editor as well, Jillian Melcher, Wall Street Journal editorial page writer Adriana Cohen, Boston Herald radio host, and Christian Whiten, former State Department senior advisor under Presidents Trump and George W. Bush. Adriana, let me start with you. This has been one heck of a week. We started Tuesday with that amazing meeting, bipartisan, 55-minute. We all saw it. Then we had the controversy coming into today. Where are we on this?
Well, I can tell you that, it was a little bit of a setback because President Trump was making progress towards getting a deal done on DACA. And I still think a deal will take place. He just may have pumped the brakes on it just a little bit. But at the end of the day, I don't think that his, controversial remarks that he made yesterday are really going to move the needle that much at all, because Americans who voted for Donald Trump and elected him our president, they knew we weren't electing a politically correct president.
Sure.
We were electing a jobs president. Sure. And he has kept that promise. He's created over 2 million jobs so far. Then the economy is booming. So he is delivering on that promise.
There's no doubt about that, Christian. And this is this immigration DACA wall. This is sort of the perfect opportunity to get something done because both sides desperately want something done here. President Trump wants that wall. The Democrats want DACA. Now, I will say this bipartisan deal presented to him, I thought was dead on arrival. And let's face it, I think almost everyone involved in that process, they're all for amnesty anyway. But I think it was sort of a disingenuous offering to set President Trump off a little bit.
I think so as well. And there is a factor. I know technically on a policy level, Democrats want they want amnesty. They want as many immigrants, illegal or otherwise, as possible. And they want it more for political reasons, for electoral reasons than other. I think they actually have a bit of a disincentive, frankly, because the tax cuts, which they were going to run against, have turned out already to be successful. We see the response in the market. We see all the bonuses coming from corporations. And it's going to be harder for Democrats to run against that in 2018 later this year. And frankly, I think they want to keep this issue alive in order to run against it, to say Donald Trump is evil and he's going to deport the poor dreamers. So frankly, I'm doubtful that actually we do get to yes on this. And clearly the Democrats haven't signaled a willingness to compromise yet. That's serious.
Jillian, that would be a dangerous gambit on the part of Democrats. We saw recently, last year, these town halls where Nancy Pelosi was shouted down by DACA's recipients, right? She tried to appease them, and they're not going for it anymore. I think they've probably told the Democratic Party, you guys better put up for us. You always talk in this flowery language and how much you love us. You better show us something this year.
Yeah, and I think this is really just such an extraordinarily sympathetic group of immigrants. I mean, if you look at it, Americans as a whole overwhelmingly support them. Even Trump supporters, it's upward of 60% that are for the Dreamers. So this is truly a bipartisan issue. I think this is one place within immigration policy that there is potential to come together and make a deal. The rest of it's going to be a lot more thorny because even if you look within the Republican Party, there's a ton of diversity of opinions about where immigration policy should be on different facets of it. So I think that's where it gets very difficult. And certainly inflammatory comments did not help.
Well, to me, it seems, DeRoy, that on one hand you have DACA, and on the other hand you have the wall. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things in between, perhaps like a path to citizenship, chain migration, those sort of issues. To knit it all together, can it be done?
Well, I think it can be done, but the goalposts keep moving. We heard, I think, yesterday that the young people on DACA would get some sort of relief, but then their parents were going to be included, even though the parents can't say, gee, we came in here without knowing what we're doing. These are people who came in as adults breaking into the country. And so I think people are very, very set back by that sort of thing. As far as that unfortunate remark you mentioned, I would advise the president, I think he ought to think about himself as Jim Carrey in the movie The Truman Show. He has that much margin of error. A lot of people want to see him defeated, pulled out of office. He should assume as long as he is awake, he is on camera with microphones on him all the time.
Yeah, well, I'm a movie buff, and I have no idea what you're talking about. No.
This one I know.
Christian, yesterday Senator Flake presented a plan with the diversity lottery visa people who have this TPS status, temporary protected status. He brought that up as well. And again, it feels like if you're going to make this too complicated and you do things that really are de facto just extending programs that President Trump has already said he doesn't want, you're setting back negotiations. So in other words, are we going to see some real good faith negotiations? Everybody knows what they want, but you've got to start to negotiate and move, to DeRoy's point, those goalposts closer.
I think so. And what instead you're seeing are sneaky moves by sneaky people like Senator Flake, who has, 18% approval, something like that, in his own state, and just decided not to run again because he'd know he would fail, he would lose. Amnesty has been put to the voters before. 2 Republican candidates, McCain, Romney, and before that, George W. Bush was awfully sympathetic to some sort of amnesty. And of course, just take our word that we're going to secure the border with electronic wizardry. And that is a loser with voters. And I think Donald Trump knows if he gives on DACA, that's the only leverage he has left to pick up the Democrat votes if, Mitch McConnell is still going to resist doing actual democracy in the Senate. So, I don't see a lot of prospect for breakthrough here.
Adriana, I think there were some people on Capitol Hill when President Trump came to Washington that really thought the wall was just rhetoric, campaign rhetoric. I don't think they took him seriously, but this is something that he plans to deliver for his core voters. So they better get used to that idea, and they're going to have to figure out a way to get this thing done. And by the way, let's not forget Ronald Reagan cut a deal that turned out to be somewhat, speaking of disingenuous, that didn't work out. And that left a sour taste in a whole lot of people's mouths, even that long ago.
Yes, President Trump must deliver on that promise to build the wall and fix our broken immigration system, because he made a promise to the American people that he would do that, especially to the angel moms and the parents in this country who have lost their children to brutal murders by illegal aliens. He owes them. He made a promise, and he will keep that promise. And that's why I think many of Donald Trump's supporters understand when he made that comment yesterday, it wasn't coming from a place of racism. It's coming to a place of he only wants to let into our country the best and the brightest, people who are going to keep us safe, not put our citizens at risk, and people who are going to fill, the job skill, the jobs gap. Because as you know, Charles, there's around 6 million unfilled jobs in the United States because so many people, we don't have the skills for them.
I'm going to talk to Mike Rowe about that later, but real quick, Jillian, the controversy aside, do you see this happening? Do you think they will actually get it done?
Well, I think the worst way to do it would be to bring back earmarks. I don't want this to be done through buying votes.
Yeah, I agree too right there too. And believe it or not, like 3 or 4 Republicans are on board with that. Just crazy.
No, very bad idea.
Bad idea.
Such a bad idea.
I think we may have universal agreement here. Thank you all very much. By the way, search efforts entering a highly critical stage.